guys, I know I already made a video in this outfit because it's the same day, but I really just had a thought, and I don't know if any of you like this idea or not, but I really don't want to just sit here and talk about my experiences and, you know, try and help these nameless, faceless people. I really want to get to know your story and, why you're following me. Chances are, if you're following me, you or a loved one are not going through something that's very fun. I think that it's healthy to vent and to talk about it. And if you don't have someone to vent and talk to me about it. I love hearing stories. I want to be a doctor. I want to be empathetic. I can be empathetic, whereas a lot of people can't be because they have not been through your situation. I'm not saying I have everything in common with you, but, why not? I would love to hear your stories and know who you are and a little bit about you. Um, So if you just want to make a video and post it as a response to this video, I know this is probably out there since I only have like 18 followers, or if you just want to comment below, but I would prefer videos to see your lovely faces. Um, so I'm going to tell my story, my whole story, because I don't think that I ever did. So if you don't want to hear my story and you just want to tell yours, stop watching now, and I promise I won't be offended. I want to hear your stories though. Okay, so for those who are stopping, bye. So, I was diagnosed 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I think. No, 2 years ago, with ulcerative colitis. I, beforehand, had no idea what was going on. I knew that I was really gassy. I knew that I was in a lot of pain all of a sudden. I knew that my periods were unbearable. And I just knew that I was losing a lot of weight and going to the bathroom a lot, and I had no idea what it was. I was like, what is this? Initially, me and my parents thought that it was some sort of bug, like intestinal bug. So I went to Kansas, like that's where my family is, a few days before I had my first GI doctor appointment. And I was really nervous about the plane, so I took an Imodium. And I just remember that was so much pain. I've felt more pain now, but that was the worst pain I had felt at that moment because I could not poop, and pooping is what relieved it, and I was like crying on the plane, and I hate crying in front of people. I'm very positive. If you can't tell that from my videos, I try to look on the bright side of everything, but I just could not hold it in because I was in so much pain. So we flew back to Illinois, and I had a GI appointment. His name is Dr. Heliodoro Medina, and he is a wonderful man. He probably knows more about me than any man in my life except my dad and my ex-boyfriend. But anyways, I went, and it was just supposed to be a consulting thing, and I told him I was pooping probably 20 to 28 times a day. I was in a lot of pain, and I was 18 years old. And he said, I'm clearing my schedule. Cindy, who's his nurse, clear every appointment that I have. This girl needs to get a colonoscopy now. And he's like, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go home. I want you to get that Osmo Prep. I want you to give yourself 2 enemas. Go to Walgreens. Here's a prescription. And come back in 2 hours, and I'm going to do a scope on you. And I was 18 years old, and I had never had a health problem before, and a colonoscopy seemed so scary to me. I was like, whoa, everything's hitting me at once. What is happening? I'm so scared. Called my boyfriend at the time, bawling. You'll probably hear a lot about him. He was with me for like a year and a half when I had no idea what was going on in my life, and he was like my #1 supporter. We're still really good friends. But, so I had my first colonoscopy. I remember loving the drug that they give you, like the Twilight drug. And I remember being terrified beforehand because I was terrified of what he would tell me. And then I woke up to my worst fear, that it wasn't a bug, it was something wrong with my body. And so he told me that I had this thing called ulcerative colitis. I had done a little bit of research on like a bunch of different things, so I knew a little bit about it. And he's like, okay, well, here's our course of action. I'm going to prescribe you these pills. You should start feeling better. He gave me Lialda at first, and I just remember it was my senior year. I missed so much school, and I was reading the book 1984 at the time, and it's to this day one of my favorites because it helped me escape what I was dealing with in my life. So I went home, looked up things about ulcerative colitis, and I shouldn't have. I Googled, ulcerative colitis, and it came back with rectal bleeding. It came back with severe cramps. It came back with hospitalization, which I had never had a hospitalization before ulcerative colitis in my life, and it had increased risk of colon cancer. Here are all the drugs. Here are all the things it can do to you. Remicade. It can increase the risk of lymphoma and all these different things. You can have allergic reactions even though you've had it for like a billion years. And I just froze and I broke down. And I was like, is this really happening? Sometimes to this day, after surgery, after 2 years of having colitis, I still can't believe that it happened. It's like this, oh my god, I thought I was invincible because I'm young kind of thing, and it just completely upset my entire world. So Lialda didn't work. Imagine that. So put me on prednisone. My good friend prednisone, I was on 40 milligrams for about a year, which was terrible. I had a moon face. You can probably see it in my first video, but it's not as bad as it has been. Out to like here, and I started growing a mustache, and I started getting pimply, and I started getting mood swings, and I'd be so hungry, and I gained so much weight. I was like, get me off of these things. I became like super depressed because they give you like huge mood swings. I like hated who I was. It was terrible, and I'm like, this is almost as bad as ulcerative colitis itself. So got me off the steroids with Imuran. So I was really freaked out about Imuran because Imuran can do bad things to you too. And I flared really badly, ended up in the hospital, bowel rest for 8 days, so I didn't eat or drink anything for 8 days. I was really against painkillers at the time, which I don't even understand now because I love painkillers. I'm not addicted. But so I didn't have any painkillers. I had C. diff at that time too, which really smelled really bad. It reeked, and I remember, I don't know, I'm just completely telling you like every little breakdown that I had. I remember watching television, and there's an ad for like those necklaces that have an emergency button for old people if they fall. Um, Sorry, old people, the elderly. And I remember just crying. And my mom's like, why are you crying? Like, are you in pain? And I'm like, I'm always in pain, but no, I want to live long enough to have that button around my neck. Like, I want to get old. I want to, I want to have kids. I want to have grandchildren. I want to have a job. I want to experience things that I haven't experienced. And so I'm dehospitalized, back on steroids, big moon phase, everything like that. Found that I really had a hard time sympathizing for a lot of my friends' problems after that, because it was like boy drama and school drama and people drama, and I was like, you have no idea how lucky you are. I was never very dramatic, but this just made me really appreciate the days where, hey, I don't care if I have a bad hair day. I don't care if I look fat. At least I feel good. Like, I couldn't understand their way of thinking anymore because something inside me had changed. And so I graduated, still on prednisone, tapered me off prednisone again. This was my second hospitalization, and I've never felt as much pain as I was in my second hospitalization. Like, looking back on it, I just want to cry and curl up in a ball and just forget everything. Like, I just want to give myself a whatever that is. I forget. Oh my gosh, I should know this. I'm a psychology major. Sorry, it's been a long day. So anyways, I was in the hospital, thank God for my boyfriend at the time, Chris. He visited me every day. Stayed from the time I let him come because it was really bad in the mornings, like noon, to the time he had to leave at like 8. Um, and brought me movies and magazines and everything. But it got so bad that I had to have a, a bedpan next to my bed because I couldn't make it to the bathroom. I was screaming in pain. I was in so much pain that I would throw up because it hurt so bad. And I remember just sketching, like, you know, when you use your nail and you sketch into your skin, like I would like sketch strength in my legs when I was keeled over in pain on the toilet. And so I would have like red marks that said strength because that's like every time that I was in so much pain, I would just, you know, like be like, I'm strong, it's gonna be over in a minute, I can do this, like it's fine, they're gonna find something for me, I'm not gonna be in pain one day I'm gonna travel the world, one day I'm gonna have kids, I'm strong, I have strength. And that was kind of something that really got me through it. And so, you know, it was hard to feel attractive to Chris for a while because he, you know, of course, heard me like screaming in pain and farting. He was just terrified. And then one day they said, Laura, you really are getting bad, even with all the medications. You broke through steroids, which meant they weren't working for me anymore. We're going to have to try Remicade. And those 5 words were the scariest thing in my life because I had read so much about it and of course the bad things, and I was like, oh my gosh, an infusion? I'm going to have this for the rest of my life? Like, it's so expensive. If Obamacare doesn't pass, then I'm going to have to pay so much because no one's going to insure me. Like, it's $1,000 a pop, like every 8 weeks. Oh my gosh. And just, you know, it's a very overwhelming thing for a young person. And um, so Chris came and held my hand through this whole infusion. My blood pressure was super low because I was dehydrated, and so I was like falling asleep, and they had to like, the nurses were great. They were like singing to me and clapping in my face. I'm like, Laura, you can't go to sleep. Your blood pressure is going to drop. You have to keep it in a certain range to have Remicade. And so, you know, it was terrifying. It felt like a huge deal. And I got used to it, just like I got used to pooping my brains out, just like I got used to taking a bunch of pills in the morning, just like I got used to my moon face, just like I got used to my acne, just like I got used to my hair falling out after flares. I got used to all these bad things. And then I got thrush, which is fine. Like, I don't understand why it was such a big deal to me. It's just like, it was the fact that I had a yeast infection, not a yeast, I don't know, yeah, it's yeast, like a fungal infection in my mouth. And that really grossed me out. And the weird thing is, the day before I knew that I had thrush, I had a dream that I had fungi in my mouth. Like, how weird is that? So anyways, I had it in my throat, so it kind of hurt because it embedded itself. So they just gave me the Swish and Swallow, which I've been on like a bajillion times. So then I was dehospitalized, and I was so happy because I was in the hospital for like 2 weeks. And then 2 days later, I broke a fever of like 104. I was screaming in pain. I had been okay on Vicodin, and the Vicodin was doing nothing. And, you know, I was like bleeding, and I was losing. Oh, it was a terrible, terrible day. And so they called Medina, Dr. Medina, and he put me right back in the hospital. Got another Remicade infusion. It finally started kicking in. I got out. I've been on steroids ever since. That was 2 summers ago. And so I was supposed to go to University of Kansas. It was my dream school. And I was in remission, steroid remission, but still remission, before these hospitalizations. And I met my roommate. She was perfect. Shout out to Marika. We met at Panera when I went down for orientation. I had set up all my classes. We met each other. We ordered the exact same thing. She's so nice. We have like the same personality, except she's probably better. And then my heart broke when I had to tell her that I'm in the hospital, I can't go have a great year at KU, I'm going to go to UIC, which is University of Illinois at Chicago. So I dropped all the classes there and they didn't charge me anything because I had a doctor's note. I had gotten accepted, but I turned down UIC, so I had to pull all these strings to get in, and I signed up for all my classes, and then I flared again, and I missed the date that they started. So then I ended up at the community college, which was like the last thing I wanted to do, but I made the best of it, and I joined a bunch of clubs, and I made a bunch of friends, and it turned out to be great. But that was really hard for an 18-year-old to deal with. Then after that, it was just every day I was in pain and pooping more than a normal person, probably only 6 times a day, which isn't terrible, but still pain. Every time they tried to wean me off of steroids, I would flare again, and I'd have to be put right back on. I gave myself enemas, I had steroids, I had a pill cocktail of like so many pills, which I'm sure all of you are so used to. And then we started talking surgery, and my mom absolutely hated that idea. She was so against it. Dad was like listening to me, and I'm just like, I can't live like this. If I'm not flaring and in a ton of pain, I'm in a ton of emotional pain from the steroids. I can't stay on them forever. They're really bad for you, especially at a young age. And so eventually we met with the surgeon, who's very reassuring. And the day that I got marked for my stoma site was really weird. I handled it a lot better than I thought I would. But you know, I kept looking at it, and I actually put a bag on one of the flat one pieces before, and I filled it up with water and tried emptying it a few times just to see what it would be like. And that was difficult. I don't know about you guys, but I really enjoy healthy poops. They're really great because they don't hurt and they're relieving, and I like using my butt for what it's supposed to be used for. And the thought that, you know, I wasn't going to be using my butt anymore was really weird to me. So that was difficult, but I got over it. And the first time I saw my stoma, like I said in the interview with my mom, I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. I can do this. Like, I've beat ulcerative colitis in a sense, I guess, maybe. You know, I went through ulcerative colitis, so I can handle anything. You know, mine was a very severe case, and even doctors at University of Chicago with really great reputations told me I was making them look bad. So, that was Dr. Cohen, by the way, if anyone, Dr. Russell Cohen. But he's a great doctor, too, by the way. He is the one who, he's just great. I can't say a bad thing about him. He did everything for me. He did so many colonoscopies, so many endoscopies, so many, you know, let's try this, let's do a double dose of Remicade, let's do this, okay, I think it's time to think about surgery. You know, it's not a testament to him that he couldn't do anything for me. It's a testament to the severity of my disease. Because they literally did try everything except for fecal transplants, which I can talk about for like years because my mom really wanted me to try it, but it didn't make sense to me how it would work. So anyways, I woke up with a stoma. I was like, I can do this. It's fine. It was very weird interacting with my friends, and I was kind of worried that people would see it, but then I kind of got this thing, I call it stoma pride. I like my stoma a lot. Her name's Trixie, and she's pretty good. She's a good friend. She works great, and she saved my life. So she got my face back to normal too, which is kind of nice. But that's not important. So the only thing that I'm really struggling with now, because I love my stoma, I love my life, I'm having such a great time, I'm doing all these great things. The only thing is that I'm losing tons of hair. I have my extensions in because my hair is so thin right now. But But that happened every time after I flared too. So I kind of expect it, and I know that it'll stop soon, hopefully. So if I didn't talk your ear off, that's my story in a nutshell. There are a few embarrassing stories I skipped, but if you're curious about that, I can tell that later. So I guess I really can't talk about going on dates with an ostomy or colitis. I had a boyfriend for most of my colitis, and he was really great, and he helped me always to feel attractive. He was so supportive. He, went with me to all my doctor's appointments. He sat beside my hospital bed every time I was hospitalized. Just very supportive. So all I can say about that is if you have Crohn's or colitis, find someone who will take care of you and help you take care of your disease. You can do it on your own, but someone who is understanding is really, really better than someone who's not. So I guess that's my story. If I didn't bore you guys too much. It's been a long run. We've all had a long run. If you're watching these videos, you've definitely had a long run. But know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, not under the tunnel. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm happier than I have been in 2 years. I feel better than I have in 3 years. I'm active. I'm going to work out with my best friend in a few minutes. And life, will not bring you down. As long as you get through this kind of stuff, everything else, well, not everything else, but you will have the strength to face many a challenging thing. I promise. It has given me so much strength and so much pride in myself and how I've handled it. And I hope you have the same things. So please tell me your stories. I really want to hear them. I would love to talk to you about them. I'd love to, I don't know, meet you guys. I just really want to be a supporter of everyone who is going through something like this because support is so valuable. So, so valuable. So that's my story. And I can't wait to hopefully hear yours. Bye, guys.